Welcome to A-Bomb to Zzzax. With me, Colin Holt. And my friends, Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. Here they come! Hello, this is A-Bomb to Zzzax, a journey through the Marvel Comics universe via the many wonderful characters. We're meeting and reviewing every single one from A to Z. That's A-Bomb to Zzzax. I'm Colin Holt, and like S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Alexander Pierce, I often bang on about how I feel I'm a bit overweight and flabby, but people always say, shut up, you look great. And like the snake character, whose name I can't actually remember, he has a fearsome, bald pate and has been arrested frequently for killing dogs with his own mouth. It is Dan Snellgrove.
Yeah, well, thank you for just like revealing that to everybody.
Sorry.
That
is his big. That's the one thing he's ashamed of. But he keeps doing it. I can't help it. I just love biting dogs. Have you been? Dan is currently in Chile.
Yes, and I found out something really awful. And this is not to besmirch South America, because I love the place.
Yeah,
but I was speaking to a Peruvian. It is pretty much now. I was speaking to a Peruvian, a South American, and I told them about that I'd eaten some street food the other day. And they said, oh, no, don't do that. I was like, why? I was told it was chicken. He said, it might be other things. So it's possible. The implication was that I may actually have bitten a dog.
Really? And did they say it could be a dog?
But they said it could be a cat
mean rats,
as well.
Or they said dog?
It could be either of those things they implied. I mean,
Maybe this is where Donald Trump's getting his campaign information from. Have you heard about this while you've been away?
No, I haven't.
There was a whole big thing about him saying that Haitians are eating dogs in this town. On the debate, right. He started going, they're eating the dogs. Anyway, it's worth a look. Okay, well, I just thought that was just a silly intro, you have literally eaten some dogs, possibly.
Yeah.
And finally, as innocent and sweet as a Japanese orphan pulled from the rubble after being killed, after their family was killed by a dragon, it's delightful Jamie Firth. Oh, no, he's not here. He's not here. Oh, no.
What?
The fans are in uproar. It's a two-man Marvel journey this week. Jamie cannot be here. I was going to say apologize, but to be honest, he didn't. He didn't say sorry once.
Right.
But he's not on the run in Chile like Dan from all that dog eating. Dan has fine Wi-Fi, but Jamie is in Northampton. Apparently the Wi-Fi is not very good at the minute. Do you know what I mean? He has just moved house, to be fair, but he'll be back next week. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, A to Z fans. Okay, I'm really excited to talk about these ones. It's going to be a quick one because we don't have much time. And also, they're probably the least... They're not the worst characters by any stretch of imagination, but there's probably the least information about them, possibly. There
were worse ones than...
So we've got a man called Alexander Pierce, who I had never heard of. Is that right? Was it Pierce even? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Alexander Pierce. He's in the list. We're going from the Marvel Unlimited app, which I suggest everyone get. It's great. And he's in the list. We're just doing the people that are on the list. By the way, please do rate and review the show. I should say that if you're a fan, we need tons more. Also, you can join up to our Patreon. We do have one, which is patreon.com/abomb to Zzzax. We may be moving that over to another one, but we'll sort that out later. But right now, please do support our work if you want to keep hearing this, because I love doing this. And I really want you to pay me. And Dan's got to pay for them dogs. They do.
Oh, yes.
Well, dog does come cheap in Chile, but, God, crikey. So we're talking about Alexander Pierce, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. We're talking about American Eagle. And finally, very briefly, because there's not a lot on her, and Dan, not his fault, but did not get a chance to look at this, is Amiko. Amiko. I think that's the way Japanese people say it. It's not Amiko, as we might say it. It's Amiko.
Right.
Not Mariko, it's Mariko. Amiko Kobayashi. So we'll get to her at the end. They're all, I love them all for different reasons. But let's start with American Eagle. I know you've read that. So American Eagle was created by Doug Moench, I think that's how you say it, and Ron Wilson, who is called Rampaging Ron Wilson in one of the things we read. He's a bloody rampager. Some stats that I found on the internet. American Eagle is 6 foot, 90 kilograms. I'm 97 kilograms, Dan. I put on 3 kilograms in Edinburgh.
Of muscle, I imagine.
Of muscle. Yeah, well, muscle weighs more, doesn't it? Yeah, but he's very muscular.
Yeah.
I reckon American Eagle might even be more muscular than I am.
Well, let's not rush to, I can't believe it.
Brown and black, and apparently he comes from Kaibito, Arizona, specifically. So we read American Eagle, very obscure character. He's not been in many things. There's some things he was apparently in which I couldn't even find him in them. But one thing which I really loved, I'd love to hear Dan's opinion, is a more recent American Eagle comic. It's just called American Eagle. It has got a longer title. I can't remember what it is, but it's like a one-off 9-page written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Richard Isanova. What do you think to this comic and this guy, the American Eagle?
Well, so I read that one first.
Yeah.
And then moved on to the beefier one.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I don't think I'd be his friend. I don't think we'd be mates.
Oh, you don't think he's a nice guy?
Well, I mean,
surly. He's definitely surly.
He's surly. He's very surly. That's a word I would use to describe him for sure. No, it was just like, for me, this was like how achingly American can we make these 9 pages? Like.
I mean, his name is American Eagle, to be fair.
Yeah, and some people might love that.
And to point out, in that particular issue, nothing to do with an eagle at any point. Does any eagle is not referenced visually?
There's no space for the eagle bit because the American bit was so big.
Right.
Like him saying things like, "I'm going to punch you in the mouth, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it."
Oh, but that's cool, isn't it? In a Clint Eastwoody type way.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess he's going to score highly for cool in that sort of frame of cool. But I don't know. I
feel they were pushing the cool too much.
It was like, there was someone in our hostel recently, last night actually, who started singing karaoke, but there wasn't any karaoke. He just started doing it himself. And he was pushing the cool too much, just like this character.
And that doesn't sound very cool. I can't imagine American Eagle singing karaoke, to be honest. Or if he did, it would be like, it would be what's that song that Johnny Cash, When the Man Comes Around?
Yeah,
it would be something like that, wouldn't it? Be really.
It certainly would.
Well, so to explain who he is in this comic, he. I mean, when he first appears, he's on a motorbike with an American flag on it, on the motorbike. He's got a sort of hat like Slash. He looks a lot like Slash from Guns N' Roses, I thought.
Yeah.
Which isn't cool to me. I always just think, and that sounds mean, but I always just think with Slash, I just think it'd be like walking into a comic shop or a game shop, wouldn't it? As in, I just think he'd really stink. Which I sound like such a sort of Nazi about weight and smell and everything, but it takes away any cool just knowing someone probably really is quite hard to be in a small room with.
It's all that leather, I think, probably.
It's the leather, the leather, and also he's got his armpits out, hasn't he? But anyway, so it starts where, so American Eagle, real name Jason Strongbow. He is a Navajo. He's from the Navajo. I don't know how you say it, but he's a Native American. And it starts in his local town. and a group called the Desert Stars have appeared. And I found this quite funny because they look like a right bunch of losers, right? If you weren't sure who they are, they were called the Two Gun Kid, Komodo, and one of the characters called Johnny Cool. That's his actual superhero name,
Johnny Cool.
Yeah, one who looks a bit like Elvis. So they turn up hunting this snake-based character. I can't remember what his name was. Was it Bushwhacker? Is it that guy?
I've got it here. Oh, no, the Cottonmouth.
The Cottonmouth. What a name. And they're drawn amazing. I think he looks incredible. He's got this huge jaw and fangs. Very odd looking, in a sort of skin-tight purple outfit. So they've come hunting this guy, and the local police say, you're not in Arizona, you're in the Navajo Nation. We've got our own guy who deals with stuff. Cue the American Eagle turns up looking like Slash. It also starts where they found these dogs. It actually starts at the end, doesn't it? So it starts with him starts with American Eagle making someone dig their own grave, we think, which is pretty ominous beginning. Anyway, this Cottonmouth has killed the dogs, and they're like, why did he have to kill the dogs? And I like the line, American Eagle goes, bit him, huh? Kinky. That's like his kink is to bite dogs. And anyway, this Cottonmouth is on the run, and he's grabbed a local girl and has sort of kidnapped her. American Eagle goes after him, and he goes, are you all right? And the girl goes, yeah, I'm fine. He just keeps putting my head in his mouth, which is really gross. Which I think is quite funny. I find it very comical, the whole story. And then, American Eagle does say, I'm going to take my fist and punch you in your big, stupid mouth, which I loved. I love the artwork. I love that you don't really see what's going on. A lot of it's just like eyes and, do you know what I mean? It's kind of cut in between parts of the picture and not the whole picture. It feels very tense. It's a standoff. And he punches him in his mouth. And then at the end, he's just making him bury the dogs in the heat.
Well, to be fair to the girl, let's give her some credit here, because the American Eagle says, remember that thing I told you to do if someone's bullying you? And she's like, oh yeah. And then she punches him in the nuts.
Yeah.
She punches the snake man in the nuts.
Cool. I think the whole thing's really cool.
Yeah, okay.
9 pages, they achieve a lot, I felt.
What's that term when it was a bit of an edgelord, I found him. An American edgelord.
Really?
Yeah, I think he should have been called American, because he was just so like, I'm just so gruff and tough and I'm going to punch you. And I just found him I suppose the thing is, because I don't know anything else about him, all I've got is just, we know this tough guy and he punches people.
But I didn't feel like he had that kind of Wolverine, like, I know he says, I'm going to punch you in your stupid mouth, but I felt like it was more like he's got a job to do. He's a bit bored, but he knows he's got to do it. It's not really a challenge. It's just like, oh, what do you want? He doesn't even bother wearing a superhero costume. He's basically just got leather.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot, Dan. I'm surprised. But this is why I love having you on the show, because I love having your opinion is always contrary to mine, Dan. I love it. I think.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to very quickly give you a little bit of background. So he's not in hardly any other comics, as I say. So he first appeared in Marvel 2-in-1 number 6, Marvel 2-in-1 annual number 6, right? Which looks very cool. It's a great cover. But basically what happens is he's not created by a Native American character. I don't think anyone involved in his creation is a Native American themselves, which I'm not necessarily saying you can't write anyone who isn't of your race and gender and sexuality and all that. But I felt with this, Jason Aaron, I think the reason they got him to do it, he wrote a series called Scalped, which I haven't read, which is about a reservation, which isn't a Marvel thing. It's like a crime thriller adult thing, which is apparently very, very good. I don't think Jason Aaron is Native American though, but the original version of him, oh my God, incredible. So it's created by rampaging Ron Wilson. And what happens is, that's what he's called. So what happens is the Thing, is in his house and he's a bit bored. Wyatt Wingfoot comes to him, who is an early Native American character who I quite like. He was created by Stan Lee. He's like Johnny Storm's best mate. He's not a superhero. He's just like a friend. And they don't really talk much about him being Native American. It's quite, do you know what I mean? They're not making a big thing about it, which I always thought.
Yeah.
But like, it's not in any way cliched or anything. He's just like his mate. But anyway, he comes to him and says there's a problem on the reservation. And it's the most convoluted story ever, which is basically he tells him a legend about two brothers who had to fight. He explains the story, but he said originally they had to fight a local tribe, but then the legend changed over the years to become the invading white man, which I think is them trying to be, it's written in the 70s. So they're trying to be a bit more progressive, but a lot of that is very clunky and goes really wrong, which I really like. Like, it's really like cack-handed in many ways. But anyway, so he tells him this legend about two brothers. Oh, the chief dies. Two brothers fight to become the chief, and a spirit makes them giant for some reason. One of them wins. He gets rid of the invaders and then disappears. Okay, so that's the legend. Cut to modern day. In the reservation, these mining contractors are destroying the reservation, or they're trying to, dig up the ground, get oil or whatever. Which I always find in these stories when they've got like mining or foresting, it always feels a bit Captain Planet. Do you know what I mean? Always feels a bit like, capitalist kind of characters. Which is true. Sadly, is actually they probably are the worst villains in the world, to be fair. But anyway, they have this big fight, and one of them wins. The two brothers have a fight, and then they go into this mountain. Oh, sorry. I'm telling this very badly. So there's Jason.
But it is
Ward.
Convoluted.
It's unbelievably convoluted. So Jason,
I have read up
Ward,
to this bit.
You've read this bit?
Yeah, I've read up to the bit where it goes really crazy with the saber-toothed tiger. But
exactly, and a unicorn. It's really not. You cannot tell where the story's going at any point. It's insane. Basically, so Jason is protesting the mining. Ward, his brother, is sort of no, it's okay. Let them keep mining. We'll never beat them. That kind of stuff. He's not saying it's okay, but he's like, we will never win this fight. They end up having a fight, and basically Jason, they're suddenly in this secret lab, and Jason comes out and he's a giant. Okay, but he just looks like him, but a giant. Anyway, then chapter 2, we cut to the Savage Land, which is where dinosaurs still live, which is a Marvel Universe thing, with Kazar, who is basically Tarzan, but in the Savage Land, looking at Jason, who is now called American Eagle, wearing the incredible full-body blue suit with huge Native American chief feathers, which look very bad for a fight, don't they? I mean, they would not. They're properly I felt quite unsafe with those. They were properly dangling everywhere.
They go everywhere, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this really convoluted 2 pages where Jason is pointing a crossbow. You never find out where the crossbow or the suit came from, by the way. That he just somehow got them in between those 2 events. He's pointing a crossbow at a unicorn, which doesn't make any sense because it's the Savage Lands where dinosaurs live. But, unicorns never lived. So this doesn't... The Savage Lands where dinosaurs never died out, but unicorns never existed at all. Kazar thinks he's trying to kill the unicorn, but he's actually trying to kill these 3 men who shot someone on the reservation. But what I loved about that whole scene, it's so badly explained that it's all about perspective. It goes, but from where Kazar is sitting, he does not see that. He sees the unicorn. He doesn't see the 3 men. If only he could see the 3 men, then he'd know. Anyway, it's such an unbelievable...
But they got pictures. Can't they show that in pictures? Isn't that the point of comics?
That's the one thing they definitely have is pictures. You just use arrows, just point to it. Look, here's a vision. But also, who cares? Do you know what it reminded me of? That bit in Father Ted, where he's got the cows and he's like, he's got the toy cow. And he goes, those cows are small, those cows are far away. It's sort of like someone trying to explain that. I also
had to reread this bit a few times.
Some dreadful lines. He goes, you have permitted the enemy to escape, then you have become the enemy, which is fun. He picks up a tree. He's very strong. Mm-hmm. Then he explains he's following these men. He says, I will show you their spore, which I think means poo, doesn't it?
How do you spell it? It's like SPOOR, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he's following these three men's poo through the jungle. It's fucking mad. We don't need to go on about the whole thing, I guess. But this is how American Eagle started. And this is probably, like I say, I can't speak obviously for young Native American men or women reading this, but I doubt you'd see yourself reflected in this character in any way. I assume. I don't know. Maybe it was very... There's some really weird lines. He ends up fighting his brother. It turns out that his brother was sort of on the side of the miners all along. The miners are actually working for Claw, who is the worst villain of all time. He creates sonic things, but he creates like sonic elephants and sonic walls. And
sonic
stuff.
Elephants?
Yeah, in another issue, he creates a sonic elephant. Anyway, They end up in the dinosaurs' graveyard. There's some really bad lines. The bro versus bro, they have this big sort of fight, and it's a philosophical, political debate as they're punching each other, because Ward has also got all the strength. And he says the time for pretty speeches ended when John Wayne was born. Some great lines. But it's really like, it's bizarre, because it's sort of like trying to be progressive and say, oh, you know, the colonialization of America, the genocide of, you know, the native people was terrible. It's sort of hinting at that. But then they have lines like American Eagle says, you truly have learned from the whites, but from the wrong whites. So it's kind of like constantly going, you know what I mean? We're trying to keep this nice. Not all whites, I guess is what it's.
Not all white.
Very charged, isn't it? All this stuff. But my favorite bit is the baddies, the three men who are getting chased all the way through. And they're just these three portly, odd-looking men who are being chased through the jungle by American Eagle. They end up running in front of a load of dinosaurs. But there's like 3 dinosaurs and 2 elephants, which I don't know where the elephants have come from. But they run in front of these dinosaurs, and Kazar goes, they're running straight into the path of the dinosaurs. Stop, come back. And I just read it like he's really not trying. Do you know what I mean? Like stop.
Come on.
Oh no, you'll die. I highly recommend anyone to read this comic, because it's mad. It's the maddest comic I've ever read, but I kind of love it. But I mean, you can see why they then attempted to reboot American Eagle as just a cool dude on a resume.
I prefer this one. I prefer this American Eagle to the new one. It's a bit clunky, but I think it's fine they should have a hero who stands up for I don't. I'm being clunky now, but for you should have a Navajo hero. Good, yeah. But I mean, it's a bit.
But he is dressed basically like the village people.
Yes, that is exactly true. Yes.
But it almost feels like they've gone the other way with the new version, where he's just a man in a leather jacket.
Yeah. Nothing
about him says Eagle. Or super.
No, I think he could be any American man in that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting, those two like almost ends of the spectrum of Marvel Comics, really. And it's funny, isn't it? Because sometimes, people who read comics who aren't that into them, it's sort of like you want that kind of thing, because that is kind of ticking your Batman 66 type, the old Batman series type. It's just fun and silly. Whereas I guess if you've read loads like I have over a lifetime, you kind of want the cool, edgy, oh my God, I can't believe what they're doing with American Eagle.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, because that
anymore, it's so cool.
That was my first contact. Dan and Eagle, first contact. It wasn't promising.
But you came away, mate, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's American Eagle. Let's talk a bit about Alexander Pierce, character I'd never heard of. He's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He first appears in Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't write down who wrote it and drew it, which is naughty of me, but I'll put it in the notes. Nick Fury versus S.H.I.E.L.D., which is like a prestige. I'd never heard of this either. It's like a prestige 6-part series, which was hard reading, man. And we jumped in at number 3. A lot of words. and every issue is about 60 pages, but I kind of loved it. I got really into it.
Yeah, with more time, I could have got into it. I was enjoying it, but it was like, okay, this is a commitment. And I've got to go and eat some more dogs. So I didn't
bite the head off. Yeah,
just go for it. I liked the artwork, actually. I have to say, like when I
felt very European, very sort of. I don't know if you ever read French comics, but it had that kind of vibe, very muted colours and stuff.
Muted. I've got the word muted here. Muted and dark. I especially liked the purple memories at the beginning when the guy was looking back on, because they tried to do in Fury, didn't they? S.H.I.E.L.D. have tried to kill Nick Fury, which is a shock to me. Yeah. What's going on? And when the guy
obviously the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., the spy agency.
Yeah. They turned against him, or he's turned against them. I mean, I didn't know. But yeah, when they tried to shoot him, the panel was all purple, because he's remembering. And basic.
And we all remember it purple.
We all do, yes. Don't we just?
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was really
Dogs
cool.
do.
I really liked it. Well, I wouldn't know, mate.
Dogs remember in purple. They remember being led to the no. Yeah, and I liked it. I mean, so Alexander Pierce. So yeah, Nick Fury's on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D. This is what happens in most of the Marvel movies, to be fair, at some point. It's very like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the movie, I thought. There's a lot of similarities. But essentially what seems to be the case is S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by, I haven't got to the end of the whole series yet, but by possibly robots, clones. We're not sure who they are, but we know certain S.H.I.E.L.D. agents have died and have now come back and are now working for this shadowy organization within S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick is on the lam, as I believe they say, and he's got nowhere to turn until he finds his old pal. Well, I don't know if his old pal actually is quite mean to him, isn't he? He's quite rude to him. But he finds Alexander Pierce, who I immediately I liked him a lot.
I mean, I liked him because it immediately said that every Sunday he buys his newspaper and eats a Danish pastry. I could connect with that man. I thought,
I believe he's a sleeper agent. Is that right?
Yeah, but he went too sleepy.
Yeah.
I think Nick Fury says something like that to him, like, you've gone too sleepy, he calls him fat.
There's a lot of fat jokes, there's a lot of body shaming going on in this, right? And my big problem with this, I love the idea that he's a bit overweight, that he's become a sleeper agent and just hasn't had time, he could go to the gym, to be fair. But in reality, it makes a better sleeper agent. If you look like a sort of, Red Grant from Russia with Love, you're not gonna be a very convincing sleeper agent. But if you look like a bit of a bloody couch potato, then that's fine. But here's my problem. I did like the artwork. The biggest problem with the artwork is everyone except Nick Fury and the female characters look like the same character. They've all got blonde hair. They all look the same. And even Alexander, who's meant to be portly, there's one bit where it's like they remember, or he's meant to be portly, so they sort of make his jaw a bit bigger, but it actually surprisingly looks a bit like Cottonmouth. It's like he just looks like he's got a deformed head. But
I
think that's them trying to draw him a bit fatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that, actually.
That was an issue. That was my only problem with this whole setup, was that they all look the same, so you can't tell who the hell is who. And there's goodies and baddie agents, and they all obviously, because they're all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, wear the same clothes, and they've all got blonde hair, and they've got the same face. That was stressful in my brain. But yeah, Alexander helps Nick out. I can't remember what he does now. Do you remember?
Well, he's bloody forced to. He hasn't really got much of a choice. Like Nick Fury just says, basically, either you help me or you're one of them and I want to kill you. Well,
Nick is badass in this, I've got to say. He kills.
Real badass.
He does not mess with him.
I'm guessing he's been pushed to the edge, and he hasn't got time for fools anymore. He can't trust anybody. So, he's a caged animal and he's fighting back. And I respect that. But it doesn't mean that poor old Pierce does suffer though.
He does, doesn't he? He's quite a comedy character. He keeps getting like, he kept doing the wrong thing, doesn't he? Doesn't he send him? He sends him into sort of. Oh no, that's it. They go to this secret warehouse or something, and there's that weird character, female character, who keeps going rah, really, like they spell really like RAH. That must have, I think it's a 1980s thing. It must have been like an 80s like yuppie character, I suppose.
I think so. I was trying to do the voice from time to time, but yeah, there was only like that. There was only like a couple of words written like that. So I was like, I can't quite get my head around how she's supposed to sound.
What didn't make sense to me was that she's doing it at the start. Fair enough, she's playing this character. But then after she sort of reveals that she's a baddie and she drops the character, but she still talks like that. So she just is that person. Yeah. It's not a front, which was strange.
No. But Pierce has got 3 people at gunpoint. He's got to look after those 3 people whilst Fury goes down and takes all the weapons and things, because Fury knows where all the secret hideouts are, doesn't he? And he was like, this is a Class C hideout, so there's only 3 people guarding. She will have a laser on her. I think they've got lasers. So, be careful. No, I'm afraid Pierce, he drops the ball and she karate chops him when he's not paying attention.
It's all those pastries, isn't it? It's all those Danishes.
You can't have them every Sunday. That's what happens, yeah. And so Fury's not impressed. Tells him he's got to buck up. But, yeah, you're right. He keeps getting it wrong. Poor chap. If we weren't judging superheroes, I suppose, or, I would give him lots of points for sympathy, but I've got to stick to the brief on this.
Well, no, but the brief is character. The brief is not, it's not the most powerful is the best by any means. It's the best character, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think to be honest, we jumped in head first and really plan anything. We just said he's the best character. I like him. He's up there for me. He's not probably not top 5, but he's not in it. None of these characters are in it enough to really give them points, But okay, well that's Alexander Pierce. Unless you got anything, there's not really.
I have nothing else to add.
No. Okay, fine. Well, we'll finish briefly with Amiko Kobayashi, 4'4", 39 kilograms. That's nothing. Brown eyes and black hair. Yeah, probably is that way around. She was created by Chris Claremont and John Romita Jr. in Uncanny X-Men 181, 1984. And basically what had happened was, in Godzilla style, Godzilla style, this dragon, I'm not sure how, but attacked Tokyo, flattened a load of buildings. Wolverine happened to be there, and he found Amiko amongst the rubble, and her mother says, please take her. And he says, I will treat her like my own. But then it turns out he actually just sent her to boarding school, so she doesn't really appear much. He just kind of, I think, immediately ships her off. So a couple of stories I read, which I'll talk about very quickly, but there's Wolverine Black, White, and Blood #3. I'd never heard of this. It's like a compilation of mad stories where they're all in black, white, and red, every story. And it's very...
the characters are dressed in
as in the artwork is all black, white, and red.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There's no other colours. And it's very...
Okay.
That's written by John Ridley, and his name's George Forms, which is a bit like George Formby, which made me laugh. This is the artist. But I think you say it Jorge. So I think his name's actually Jorge Forme. I think that's his name. Anyway, in this story, it's set in the past for Wolverine. I don't need to tell you why. But the Silver Samurai, which is one of his enemies, has kidnapped Amiko. And Wolverine and his partner at the time, who was Mariko, who is apparently Amiko's adopted mother, so they both adopted her, they have to go and try and rescue Amiko. And they have to fight 32 It's called something like Attack of the 32 Killers or something like that. And they have to fight 32 people to save Amiko. And they fight 13 ninjas. And this is Wolverine and Mariko. Mariko's got a sword, you know, which is a bit weird because I've never seen her fight in the comics before. So suddenly she's really good at fighting, you know. But there's 13 ninjas, 10 Ronin, then it's 6 monks, not just like, you know, monks like Fire Tuck, you know, they're proper Kung Fu monks.
Hey, he had a big stick. He was quite tough.
Yeah, to be fair. 2 samurai, and then at the end they have to fight a partridge in a pear tree. No, they have to fight. That would have been funny. No, they have to fight one more villain. And who is it? It's Amiko herself. What the?
No.
And she's furious that she's furious that they've sent her to boarding school and basically abandoned her. So she fights Wolverine, and Wolverine, obviously, he's her dad, so he just lets her kill him. Stab him through the heart. But then obviously because he's Wolverine, he heals. And then she goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry, Dad. I was just really angry." And he's like, "Don't worry, you're right. I should have been there more for you." As he says, she literally stabbed my heart or something like this. And it made him realize he should be there for her more. And then they walk off in the sunset, as he says, the closest thing I've got to a family. I mean, they're always family, to be fair. It's pretty good stuff, man. It's only about 6 pages, but it's like, it's proper Matrix, or before Matrix, you know, like proper ninja samurai movie, bloodshed. I mean, the thing is, she's done this fun little trick and they're like, "Oh, well, all's well that ends well." But he has killed 31 people to get to them.
Right.
Like he's properly slashing them. He definitely at least kills one of the samurais because you see it, you know. But I guess if that's what it takes to understand what it means to be a good dad, I'm all
I'm going to have to ask you, Colin, you're a dad. Have you either killed 31 people or let your kids stab you in the heart?
Well, I've got to pick up my daughter in a minute. And I mean, to be honest, 9 times out of 10, there's at least 2 or 3 ninjas on the way up there.
Are you picking up from school? Because there's going to be loads of kids
there's the alarm
in the way.
Yeah.
Or the parents. Maybe you have to fight your way through the army.
No, I fight the parents. Yeah. No. They have actual ninjas there. It's just to keep you. Just to keep you ready at all times. No, I've never killed anyone, as far as I know. I certainly haven't killed 32 ninjas, but I would. I guess if that's the question, yes, I would. I'd kill over 40 ninjas.
Over 40. You are 8 better than Wolverine when it comes to being a dad.
Yeah.
Right. I always suspected it.
And then I'd have to let Lucy kill. Oh my God, this is a horrible idea. A rough story. So that's Amiko. There is a follow-up that she appears a few times, but to be honest, she is kind of a plot device for Wolverine a lot of the time. She doesn't really get a lot of character development. You see her in Wolverine 300, which is also by Jason Aaron, who wrote American Eagle, which is tons of fun, and I highly recommend to anyone. It's, again, loads of ninjas, loads of bloodshed, lots of fighting. In that, she's a teenager by that point, and she's now a bit badass, wears a kind of, you know, ninja costume herself. She says bub, though, like Wolverine. And you got the kind of, you haven't met my dad yet. And then, you know, dad comes in and kills that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. I'd highly recommend Wolverine 300 and 301. Well, I think this has been a fun little episode. I'm sorry, everyone, that Jamie's not here and that it's so short, but I think, you know, we got through them. They're little characters. They don't need they don't need a bloody visual essay or whatever they're called, video essay. But a little bit further reading for you. If you want to do some further reading, I would read, American Eagle. Oh yeah, read Thunderbolts. There's a great Thunderbolt story where American Eagle comes in, and it's where the Thunderbolts, who are kind of villains turned heroes, are chasing him. A lot of fun. That's written by Warren Ellis. I remember that. Who's the one? Alexander Pierce. He apparently appears in Secret Warriors, which I don't remember at all, but it's a great Nick Fury Shield type series. I remember the series. I don't remember him being in it, but have a read of Secret Warriors. And finally, my recommendation for you, dear readers, is dear listeners and readers, yes, it's Wolverine 300 and 301, with Amiko, which are great fun. So very quickly, buddy, before we go, let's stick them in the order. And then I've got to go to school and fight some bloody ninjas.
I think you said it yourself. Isn't Pierce a bit forgettable?
Pierce is, I don't know. I'm not saying he should be top drawer. Don't get me wrong, but I think he is. He's fun though. Okay. Well, I put him above like Alita for a start.
All right. Yeah, there's bad ones out there that. Yeah, he's definitely got to be above Airwalker.
You wouldn't put him above Airwalker?
No, I would. Yeah, because that's...
Okay, well, I'm going to say, is he above Alex Power? I prefer him to
Who was that?
Exactly, Power Pack. Okay, I think he can't be above Abomination. Yeah. Abomination is sort of our line, isn't it, in terms of... I think below Abomination are kind of bad characters.
But definitely below Abomination. Definitely, yeah.
Above Abomination?
No, below. Lower.
Okay.
Higher,
Alexander Pierce. He's above Alex Power, though, because he's very annoying. Come on.
Really annoying. Yeah.
Who's the other one? American Eagle. Is he above or below Alexander Pierce?
I think he stands for something. I like what he's standing for.
I'd say above Aguila or Aguila.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the better eagle than...
the two eagles are together. I'm going to go
eagles. Yeah.
Absorbing Man, American Eagle, then Aguila.
Okay.
Because Absorbing Man, there's more to him than American Eagle, right?
Yeah.
If American Eagle had had more time to shine, maybe he'd be higher on this list. But, he doesn't get to develop at all yet. Maybe he'll come back one day. Do you agree?
I hope.
Low Absorbing
the
Man?
Ancients. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The's a lot of fun with the physics of Absorbing Man. He's sometimes a goodie, sometimes he's never a goodie, but he's got depth to him, hasn't he? Maybe not first, as it goes on. And then finally, Amiko. Nice character, but again, not much going on there. I guess.
Does she get points for killing Wolverine?
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's pretty cool. And there's not many people that can say they've done that.
I kind of prefer her to Aguila, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Aguila's kind of fun as opposed to good, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm obviously just going on what you've described to me, but I like the sound of.
Yeah. Okay. She's it's an interesting character. Her backstory's interesting, if a little silly. She's, she's different.
And she's in good comics.
But we can't. So should we put her above American Eagle?
I think so.
Okay, fine. But not above Absorbing Man. I don't think she's developed enough.
Okay. Okay.
If she was developed more, I liked all these characters. Their only problem is they haven't appeared enough. Maybe if they do, maybe there'll be the Alexander Pierce movie. Can you imagine if the MCU gets so desperate? It's made movies of every single character. And then there's one. Mind you, weirdly, the Guardians of the Galaxy were a bit like that. When that movie came out, they were pretty much unknown, really. Not unknown, but, and now they're...
So there's hope for Pierce yet?
Hope for Pierce. Alexander Pierce, the movie. And there's a trilogy. And he's just... But also in that Hollywood way, as with the drawings where he keeps saying, I'm really fat, or actually Nick Fury keeps telling him he's really fat, and he just looks exactly the same as all the other characters. He'd probably be played by Paul Rudd, not him because he's Ant-Man, but someone like that, and just have a tiny not even a belly, would he? Although, did you ever see? I must go in a sec, but did you ever watch Battlestar Galactica, the remake? Did you get through that?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the series where the captain was it Apollo? Was Apollo the captain? Yeah, it was Apollo and Starbuck, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where there's a 5-year jump, and Apollo's put on loads of weight, but they've done that kind of fat suit thing, and he just looks like. It's just really weird. Again, I'm not trying to body shame in any way, but it's just the makeup is I don't know, he just looks like someone stuck a load of stuff on his green. It's sort of green. It's really weird. But you know what? I always think of that when I put on a bit of weight, like I have at the minute. I always think of Apollo in Battlestar Galactica.
Well, you've not gone green. I can see you.
I've not gone green.
You're still Colin coloured. Yeah.
It's just Edinburgh, man. Going into Edinburgh. Oh, well, on that note, everyone, if you listen to this, first of all, have a listen to my other podcast, Into the Neuroverse. Secondly, hit that Patreon, patreon.com/abombtozax. I'm hitting all the language. Hit that Patreon. And finally, come see my show. It's called Colin. You can get tickets at birksnest.com and you can see it. I'm doing Soho Theatre next week and I'm on tour after that, baby. Apparently amongst comedians, by the way, there's this phrase which is rise and grind amongst, your kind of comedians who are like, you've got to be on TikTok, you've got to be on Insta, you've got to be constantly like sending photos of how big your audiences are and stuff. And it's like rise and grind. As in you wake up, you rise, and then you just start grinding.
Start the grind.
Oh, it's so dweeby. I hate it so much. Anyway, thank you for listening, everyone. Hopefully Jamie will be back next week. When next week we are meeting, oh my gosh, hang on, we're almost there. Next week we are meeting, I've got the list, amphibian, amphibious, and anaconda. Ooh. 3 animal-based creatures, an
Very
amphibian,
animal.
an amphibious. Presumably his name is only amphibious because there's someone called amphibian. And finally, anaconda. Just a big bloody snake.
Well,
there's lots of snakes at the minute, isn't there? Ugh. All right, mate. We'll have a wonderful time in Chile. Continue your voyage, your odyssey, and we'll be back here to continue our odyssey. And thank you, Dan, for doing this whilst traveling across the world. It's very good of you. And well done, technology.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Isn't it amazing? Right. Okay. See you later.
All right.
What does Jamie always say?
Bye.
Sphinx or out or something?
Yeah. Sphinx or out.
Sphinx or out, or whatever Jamie says. See you next week. Bye-bye. You have been listening to A-Bomb to Zzzax, my favorite Marvel character, with me, Colin Holt, and my friends Dan Snellgrove and Jamie Firth. There they go! Please remember to support us at patreon.com/abombtozax.